About 4 years ago, I came to Singapore with dreams of making epic images of the never-ending cityscapes on offer. But I was out of my depth. In fact, it was the first place I ever really tried to photograph skylines. And while cityscape photography seems pretty easy on the surface, it's much more fickle than it appears. It's very technical and depends so much on good natural light. So, my images from my first attempt back then were, well, borderline terrible. But this week, I'm gonna give it another chance.
Morning guys, I'm in Singapore enjoying the fact that sunrise isn't until 7 in the morning here. I am here in Singapore, as I mentioned, for just a couple days. Essentially, I have 2 sunrises and 2 sunsets. So I wanna make the most of it. I wanna shoot as many cityscapes as I can, starting with this morning.
I'm too blind to see.
Absolutely perfect morning today here in Singapore for some cityscape photography. I've come to this spot that I found on Google Maps just by kind of Googling around on Street View, just following the streets, and it's this perfectly iconic image of the city. You have this bridge that works as a great leading line into the cityscape, and you can shoot just that. Or you can pano and include that over there. You can include the Marina Sands Hotel. So I've done both those images. It's still way pre-sunrise, so I'm gonna stick around here and see what happens for sunrise.
In the end, sunrise didn't really happen this morning, but I do feel like I did capture a couple really cool images of that classic iconic Singaporean skyline. And though it wasn't really hard to do, I definitely feel like I've already improved on my images from the last time I came here.
That was a fun shoot, but the light was really good when we first got there, and then it just dissipated because the sun went behind some clouds. Cityscape photography is quite fickle, and I think with cityscape photography, I think it's so important to get good light. I think composition comes kind of easy with cityscape photography, so it's all about the light. So when I'm shooting cityscapes, I'm up before the blue hour, and I'm hanging out until well after sunrise. So I think it's just a matter of being really, really patient with cityscapes.
Singapore is an urban photography dream location. It's a cool mix of eccentric neighborhoods like Chinatown and Little India, and more big business-centric areas like the downtown core. It's also a really fun city to be a tourist. There's a lot to do in a relatively small area. And one of those really touristy things to do in Singapore is a river cruise. So I grabbed Jody and we spent the morning touring the river. And as a photographer, I highly recommend it. Because really, is there a better way to location scout a city than in a shaded boat floating around with views like these?
One of my favorite things about shooting cityscapes is that it's sunrise, sunset, and then you have the whole middle of the day to do activities. So the boat was fun, and now we're going on that giant wheel. It's called the Singapore Flyer, just to see the city from above before shooting sunset.
All I seem to do is to love and leave. Like when it's going good, it's not meant to be. All I seem to do is to love and leave for good. And now I'm losing my mind, about to lose it all. If I don't make it right, I'ma fall apart. I'll lose it all. I'll lose it all.
It was actually a lot of fun, and we made it out alive. How did the time lapse come out? Random. I just decided to throw the time lapse up last second, and I think it looked cool. There's probably a lot of reflection, but I think it looked cool. Anyways, we're done, obviously flying, and we're gonna go take pictures at sunset. We're gonna go just down here to a place called the Helix Bridge. It's again one of these iconic photo locations here in Singapore.
Hold my breath. So if you come too close, I might end.
So things aren't working to plan on the second shot because we're up on this like stanchion on the bridge and it's the perfect composition, but the bridge wobbles. The whole bridge kind of shakes. So I can't do anything more than a second exposure without it being blurry. So we gotta find a new location. I think we're just gonna go down below. So after the first spot, which is just up there, it kind of failed just because it's wobbling a little bit. We come down here, and basically the plan here is to get kind of a simple shot actually. You've got the Helix Bridge going across here, Marina Sands. I'm not sure what building that is, the one that looks like a flower, but it's pretty cool. But every evening they actually have a light show here. So there's lasers that shoot off and it should make for an interesting photo, I hope. So yeah, setup's gonna be pretty simple because it's gonna get dark. I think the only thing I'm gonna do in terms of filters is just a 3-stop soft grad ND. And by the way, that's a new camera. But we're gonna talk about that a little bit later in a future episode. So be sure to stay subscribed to find out what it is.
If I was a city planner, I'd organize everything around amplifying the ability of tourists and photographers to get great photos. Great tourist snaps equal brilliant free marketing. Unfortunately in Singapore though, their famous light show doesn't happen until after the beautiful blue light disappears.
We've been sitting here at this viewpoint waiting for this laser show that happens, but the blue hour's done. And the laser show happens every day at 8 because, well, schedules work better when it's at 8 rather than at sunset time or blue hour time. But now I don't think the light's gonna be as good because, yeah, the blue light's kind of done. So we've got the photos. I've been playing with some bulb exposures. It's 5-minute exposure right now. And it does look really cool even without the lasers. But we're gonna wait it out anyway and see if the lasers pop off.
We waited until about 8:15 before finally giving up and leaving. And of course, as soon as the gear was packed up and we left the location, the lights started. And in the morning, I was back at it. The first time I was in Singapore, it was really the first time I'd ever had the chance to shoot cityscapes, and I was really excited for it. I'd been in South America for the first, 4 or 5 years of my career, where there wasn't a lot of cityscape photography opportunity. So this really, was my first time to ever shoot it. And I remember being so proud of the images I took. So yesterday when we got back, I had a look on the computer to see what they looked like. And yeah, they were shockingly bad. They were horrendous. So I thought it would be fun this morning to head to the exact same location I shot those photos at that I thought were brilliant and see if I can improve on them. Okay, I'm here at the location I shot, I guess that was like 5 years ago. And 5 years ago I just shot straight down this pathway because I guess back then maybe I thought this pathway would make for a nice leading line, but really I think it actually kind of pulls away from the image. Instead, what I see immediately this time is totally different. 5 years ago I was like, the path, it's gotta be the path. Now I see this bridge. And on a wide angle lens, 16 millimeters, I think you probably can get the bridge and most of the skyline, but I think what I'm gonna do instead is actually set up like a 7-shot pano. I'm gonna flip the camera vertical, and I'm gonna shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 7 images across, and it should grab all this information, all the skyline, lots of excess around the edges, and it should grab this bridge as well, which is really cool. It looks like we're about 5-10 minutes away from the blue hour, so we'll wait, and then we'll shoot. Did they just turn the lights off on the bridge? Yes, yes they did. But even though someone at the mayor's office decided to flip the switch on the rainbow-colored bridge, I still do think that I managed to grab that pano image I hoped to capture. I think it came out pretty cool.
I'm kind of going back to the shot I shot 5 years ago with the path, just maybe a better version of it, because now I do have the path working as a leading line. I've got some nice reflections, I've got some beautiful blue light up in the sky, I've got a 2-stop medium grad holding things together. And it's a little bit distorted on the buildings on the outside, but that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. When you're shooting cityscapes on a wide-angle non-tilt shift lens, you're gonna get distortions. And I don't think you should ever let anybody tell you that that doesn't look good. If you like the distortion, if you feel like that gives a cool effect to your images, leave it. If you hate it, move it. Me personally, I kind of like the distortion on skylines and architecture and stuff like that. So I got a couple distorted buildings here, but an image that I quite like.
Here's the thing, photography is subjective, so never allow anybody to tell you you're doing something wrong as long as you're doing it intentionally. And if you're a photo viewer, try to avoid giving unsolicited criticism. Chances are the photographer had a purpose. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's wrong. And speaking of wrong, can I not just get a single bit of golden light here in Singapore? There was no sunrise again, and with 12 full hours to kill until the next chance at chasing golden light, Jody and I headed off once again to be tourists.
I once felt I'm done with the defense. Drove back and climbed over your fence. Had to show you that I was a mess. So you were shrugging your shoulders and closed off. That's what I told you. Soon enough, everything started to change. 'Cause there's no going back.
We spent the whole afternoon doing kind of touristy things because actually it's been pouring rain. But sunset just happened and it's kind of clearing off. So we're gonna go see if we can still get photos at kind of this artificial forest thing that I'm actually not sure what it's called. But it looks pretty cool. It's not the place I wanted to photograph today. There's actually this thing called the Merlion that looks incredible and kind of crazy that I wanted to photograph, but it's closed. So yeah, we're gonna make do and hopefully still get a cool photo.
As we were kind of winging this last shoot in Singapore, we broke rule number 1 of photography, which is to get to your cityscapes early. But we did make it to the artificial forest just as the blue light started to wane, and well before the light show was meant to start.
We had pretty bad luck with the light show here in Singapore. Tonight there was some sort of technical malfunction and we didn't see it. And also I had a technical malfunction in that I forgot one of my memory cards, so I couldn't vlog it. But yeah, that's how things go sometimes. It was really fun in Singapore, but it was also really, really sweaty. So humid. I must have gone through like 10 shirts in 2 days because it was so hot. And that kind of means that I'm looking forward now to the next adventure, which is definitely going to be colder. So on the next full video, there's going to be an introduction to my new camera and a trip back to the UK for a day and then on to Norway for some winter and the Lofoten Islands, which should be amazing. So subscribe for more adventure and photography if you're not, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.